A pleasant day to all of you out there. Welcome back to the program agenda. Thank you, Lord, for another day to be of service to the country and to you, our God. Welcome and thank you for being subscribers of Cignal TV, viewers of One News PH, and of course, following agenda on Facebook and YouTube. For those of you na wala ng kalendaryo, the date is June 21, 2022. It's a Tuesday, and let's get on with the day because we have so many guests for today. Let's get on with our daily starter, which is from Zig Ziglar. The famous Zig Ziglar tells us, life is about balance. Be kind, but don't let people abuse you. Trust, but don't be deceived. Be content, but never stop improving yourself, okay? And we will be featuring several people who could be content where they are and what they have accomplished in life. But today you will get to meet a couple of people, actually 3 people in particular, who have continued to do more in service of others, of the business community, and even for dogs. For you, fur parents, tama ba yun? Fur parents, we will be talking about dogs also later in the program. Okay, but in the meantime, let's go to the front page of the Philippine Star for a quick scan of what's in the news. June 21, 2022, the headline of the Philippine Star, Marcos to assume post of Agriculture Secretary. President-elect Bongbong Marcos has decided to be at the helm, the leadership of the Department of Agriculture, given the serious threat of food shortage and food inflation, etc., etc. At the top of the paper, pump prices up anew. Tumaas po today. Medyo palagay ko today, malapit na tayong mag 100% in pesos. Okay? Pump prices up anew, but BBM, Bongbong Marcos, won't suspend fuel tax. He is adopting the Duterte philosophy or policy, help those in need the most, but no suspension of fuel tax. BBM open to 100% foreign ownership, but it's a big but, okay? And that but involves correcting many of the problems first, like high electricity cost, ease of doing business, etc., etc. And once all of that have been addressed, the president-elect believes that they will be announcing or will decide that 100% equity or foreign ownership in businesses can be allowed. Okay. Meanwhile, Senator Bongo has asked outgoing President Rodrigo Duterte to become his legal consultant. Yan yung clickbait, ika nga nila. Hindi ko na dadagdagan. Okay, BBM instructions, Sara to review K to 12, okay? Bongbong Marcos, the president-elect, has given instructions to Vice President-elect Sara Duterte to review the K to 12 because it may be that no one has completely or fully studied the program to determine whether it's really good, whether it's really successful, whether it's really useful, or how to enhance the program. That is a good suggestion or instruction. The bottom left of the paper, you have a member of the Manila Police District Explosives Ordnance Unit preparing a bomb disposal robot in anticipation of the inaugural of BBM at the end of the month. Okay, meanwhile, COVID cases peaking in Metro Manila according to the Department of Health. It seems that the number of cases have continued to increase. And the DOH finds it prudent to at least inform the public. Tumataas, dumadami, mag-ingat po tayo. Okay, they have also said that they see no reason or justification to expand the second booster shot to people below 60 years old. That photo that you see there is a photo of the late Filipino lawyer John Albert Lelo, who was being a tourist in the United States with his mother on the way to the airport when a random shooting took place at siya po ay tinamaan ng bala sa ulo. He passed away and his mom is okay already, but she too was wounded in that random shooting. Yan po, wala nang magawa yung mga Amerikano, nagta-target practice na sa kalsada. Ex-DICT Chief Honasan turns out to have been the highest paid member of the Duterte cabinet. Okay, and that's all the news, and that's all the time we have for the news today. Let's now go to our first topic. A teachers group seeks a dialogue with DepEd on possible extension of their work beyond the school year. Kumbaga, you heard that yesterday with our interview where the Teachers Dignity Coalition said that the requirement of the DepEd for remedial or enhancement classes will eat up into their vacation. They were not consulted. They were not paid. Let's discuss this with the representative of the DepEd. We have with us the Undersecretary. He's been on the program, if I'm not mistaken, Undersecretary for Curriculum Planning. Let's get to know more about our first guest.
Diosdado San Antonio has been the Education Undersecretary for Curriculum and Instruction since May 2019. Prior to this, he was the Managing Director of DepEd Calabarzon. San Antonio holds a doctorate degree in education from University of Newcastle in Australia.
Okay, good day, mate. Good day, Undersecretary, Undersecretary Dado San Antonio. Sir Dads, good morning.
Morning, Sir Cito. I'm glad to be able to join you today.
Okay, well, we have a tight schedule today, so I'm going to have to rush you this morning. Okay, what is your reaction to the statements made yesterday by the TDC that they were not consulted regarding the announcement that there will be remedial classes, there will be enhancement classes for those students who earned an average of 75 to 79 in their grades, and that they want to know, paano na si Eddie? Eddie ako, meaning what about compensation for active participation?
Sir Cito, this proposal is something that we really need to do because we all know that something has to be done to improve the quality of our basic education in the country. And there's also an issue on what is called as learning losses. So we're trying to go beyond the traditional recipients of our summer classes who are those that fail in their lessons. We also are suggesting that perhaps those that appear to be struggling in understanding the concepts need to be given extra support by our fellow teachers. As to the need for them to do more, I guess for me, as a former teacher myself, I've been doing it even without being told by the Department of Education. The reason why my students in the school where I was a teacher and I was a principal were doing better, were passing the UPCAT examinations, was because I was providing enrichment services without even any extra compensation or even a service credit. But I understand being a teacher myself, that they have to be compensated somehow if they are requested to do service beyond official time. And I think Benjo knows that when I was regional director, I would always mention that anytime a teacher is made to do work outside of what is expected of them in terms of the school calendar, they have to be given service credits.
Okay, very specific question, okay? Will they be compensated? Will they receive extra compensation for these enrichment classes?
What we'll offer is a service credit, which they can use to offset absences when they get sick, or they can even convert that into cash when they retire.
Okay, Diosdado, you have to excuse me, no? I'm just picking it up from the interview yesterday. The impression I got, according to Benjo, was they were not allowed to be absent except due to death. Kasi parang maliban sa mamatay ka, hindi ka pwedeng mag-absent. They are not given leaves or paid leaves, etc., except for this traditional summer vacation, because the thinking of the DepEd is that they are highly or properly compensated, so wala nang extra. So of what use is this leave credits if they're not even allowed to go on leave?
I don't think that's the case. I've been approving leaves of absence of teachers. That's not the case in the areas where I serve as superintendent, as regional director. And I'm very sure many teachers actually are able to enjoy paid leaves using their service credits. I don't know the case of that Benju is mentioning, but in my life as a 37-year veteran in the Department of Education, I've not heard of any teacher being prohibited from going on a leave of absence for, like, especially if the cause is illness. I knew that when I was RD in Calabarzon, I would not allow leaves of absence for teachers during the school year when they would want to travel abroad on leisure. That was something that I would say, can you schedule your leisure trips during summer or Christmas vacations, not during holidays. But other than that, we always allowed.
Okay, so but what happens now? They're supposed to be getting their summer vacation, although wala na due to climate change, hindi na uso. And also we have adjusted the calendars, school year calendar, so it no longer falls under the traditional summer. But you know, having lived abroad in certain, I know for a fact that abroad you are even forced to go on vacation if you have not taken a leave for an extended period. I was given an ultimatum: go on leave or be fired. So you will be forced to go on leave. Now, here, Yusek Dads, what happens? Kasi with this enrichment program plus the remedial classes, they'll essentially eat at least 2 weeks, if not 3 weeks, into the traditional 2-month vacation of teachers.
Our stand is the service is, since they would be compensated with service credits, they can say we are not joining the teachers who will provide the enrichment activities. Some teachers may say they have valid reasons not to join. They won't be punished with salary deductions because they're really supposed to enjoy their summer vacation. Or it's no longer a summer vacation, it's their vacation, their long vacation between 2 academic calendars. So I personally feel that teachers who really do not like to spend 2 weeks helping learners learn better or learn more should not be punished. I support that stand of TDC. And because we will just appeal to the sense of commitment of many of our fellow teachers, I'm very much of the belief that there are more teachers willing to actually go beyond what they normally offer. But
is there a system or a method to all of this? Because I was asking Benjo the same thing. Who will be required to conduct these classes? Are they the teachers whose number of students exceed a certain percentage of the class, na 75 to 79, or have more than 10 failing students in the class? Is there parang punitive punitive or make-up work, Yusek Dads?
In the past, when we offered summer classes for those with failures, we would always just use those who are willing. So it was really
Okay.
essentially on voluntary
Will
basis.
it be face-to-face, Yusek Dads?
It will depend on the alert levels in the area. So we're still, of course, exploring blended, like occasional face to face and online or distance, if that's allowed.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Yusek Dads. I have to apologize pero medyo puno ang biyahe ko ngayon. Mahalang gasolina eh. Okay, thank you very much,
Okay,
Yusek Dads.
More power po, and I love your columns.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Everything you write.
Okay.
Most of them.
Okay, that's Undersecretary Diosdado San Antonio of the Department of Education. And now let's go to our next guest. And they are a couple of guys who got together. Medyo complicated eh. You know, parang relationship complicated. I hope their relationship is not complicated. Let's just listen to the intro regarding our next guest, who, by the way, one of whom has been a regular on the program. Let's listen.
Brian Koo and Bam Mejia are the co-founders of SariSuki. Koo is known within Asia's entrepreneurial and tech circles as the accomplished co-founder of Grab Philippines, where he served before as country head. Mejia was director of market and strategy and planning for P&G Personal Care. His work focused on the Asia-Pacific, Middle East, and Africa regions.
Okay, welcome, Bam and Brian Koo. Welcome to the program. Brian, you've been on the show before, and last time I spoke with you on the program, you were talking about, I gotta take time out. All this corporate work is eating up into my family equilibrium and sanity, and I will go back home. Eh mukhang hindi pumayag misis mo, pare ko.
Hindi po ako pinauwi, Sir Cito. But it's good to be back on the show. It's been a while since we last spoke, sir.
Yeah, Brian, you were co-founder of Grab Philippines, and then you did another startup, and now this startup. Could you and well, Bam, welcome to the program. I know a few people from P&G, and so clearly you and Brian are putting together that something which is marketing, which is consumer. Etc. So Brian, umpisahan mo na nga para magkaliwanagan. What exactly is this SariSuki?
Yes, Sir Cito. So first of all, thanks for having us on the program. We love listening to you and watching your show. And we're very pleased to be able to share what SariSuki is to all the viewers. What it is essentially, it falls into the category of what we call social commerce, where it uses existing social network platforms to conduct commerce online. So what SariSuki does, it allows individuals to become what we call community sellers. So kumbaga, pwede po sila maging online tindahan of over 4,000 different items, ranging from fresh produce to frozen meats to eggs, bigas, and all the way to the long tail of other grocery items, personal care items, canned goods, and so forth. And as an individual seller or an online reseller, what we call a community leader, they're able to earn an income for them. So we really started the business during the height of the lockdown in 2021, so around March, April last year, because we saw a lot of people were displaced or had limited income. So what we wanted to do was find a product that was easy to sell. And we saw this firsthand because my wife was a community seller, not on SariSuki, but she started it on her own on Viber. She started selling fruits to her neighbors, to our neighbors, and to her friends. And that grew from a group of a few dozen people to over 800 people in that one Viber group of hers, purchasing frozen meats, frozen seafood, and vegetables. So we wanted to take that, make it an easy platform to onboard users and spread it out to as many people that we could here in Metro Manila, so that we could also help as many people as we could.
Okay, Bam, how did you get into the picture? Because I mean, you are with PNG, and most people would say, "Are you crazy? That's a multinational. That's a cushy setup. That's for life until you retire." I know a couple of guys who are in PNG, and what got into you? Sorry.
But first off, thank you for having me here. I've been a fan of your column as well, and yeah, I think number one, it's the belief in this thing to make a difference, something to call your own. Or baka nabudo lang ako ni Brian. No, Brian and I go way back in university. So we went together in college, and then we stayed in touch. We've always wanted to do something, no? And then I think there's that entrepreneurial itch that I wanted to scratch in particular, and just making a difference. Like, it's amazing when you give livelihood to over thousands of people already, and you see how we change their lives. It's very inspiring to do something that is different, and to scratch that entrepreneurial itch. Of course, kudos to my wife, and my family is very supportive. But yeah, it's really trying to just make a difference, and it's something that we wanted to do for quite some time already.
Okay, but what did Brian ko sell you na nabudol ka?
No, that was just a joke.
No, but I mean, he must have pitched something that got you, because you're not a newcomer, you're not a newbie. You've seen it all in PNG, and it would take something special to offer to get you to jump ship and get into this entrepreneurial adventure.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, if you're going to do a startup in the Philippines, I think Brian is the perfect person to do it with, no? And I say that constantly. He's proven himself through many industries and through many stages of the startup or entrepreneurial life. So I think that trust, that pedigree as well. And we've been friends for the longest time. We've known each other. We respect each other both personally and professionally. And the pitches just really make a difference. Right?
Okay.
And we've been, even before we started this whole thing back in April last year, we've been working around in the model. We've seen how his wife does it, and see, okay, there must be a startup in all of this, no? But yeah, it really, companies are led by individuals. It's really Brian.
Yeah, Brian, getting back to SariSuki, sorry, but I have to be the journalist in the room. What differentiates SariSuki from Shopee, from Lazada? I mean, are you specifically food-based platform? What is particular about your program?
I think there's a couple of things, Sir Cito. One is in terms of the product that we sell. So it's really difficult for a Lazada or a Shopee to handle frozen product. And we can deliver ice cream because of the way our supply chain is set up. We have our own delivery fleet. We have our own cut-off delivery system that allows us to do fresh and frozen. So we bring vegetables, for example, down from Baguio a couple of times a week. So vegetables remain fresh. We're also what you call, instead of a marketplace, a first-party e-commerce platform where we own our own inventory. So we also control that experience on that side. So less out-of-stock items and better screening of the quality of the items. That's difference number one. Difference number two is the way our distribution and sales model is set up. In Shopee and Lazada, yes, they're more of a merchant's marketplace, whereas we're more of a first party. But then we allow individuals to participate in our ecosystem and earn earn an income, earn a living by becoming a reseller of the products. And typically, if you're buying gulay online, what's the first thing that comes into your mind? The first thing that comes into your mind, other than price, is gusto ko makita, gusto ko mahawakan. Okay, sariwa ba yan na bibilhin kong gulay? That's what the social commerce aspect of the business helps solve. Because if it's your friend telling you, oh, Cito, tikman mo tong, subukan mo tong lettuce na nabili ko last week from SariSuki, from my SariSuki store.
Mhm.
There's the element of trust is there, and it breaks down that barrier of trial.
Okay.
And we stand by our products. So once you receive it, you really be very pleased with the quality and the freshness.
I feel like a judge in a pitching contest TV show, where pitch me your business. But here's my question. Number one, how do you prevent the community sellers that enlist in SariSuki ending up competing with each other?
We have a mechanism whereby, although anyone can apply, so let's say in the same street, there could be a couple of resellers that apply. The minute the reseller hits a certain threshold of sales, that means he's really into it, he's really building his community buying group, then we stop any new applications in that area. So he'll have some form of exclusivity in his area.
Territory protection.
That's right. So it's around, I think, 1.5 2 kilometer radius around this area that no other community leader with an address within that area can sign up.
Okay, Bam, I'm sure you're very familiar with the distribution network issues, etc. The markups. Now, how would you convince community sellers to sign up with SariSuki? Because the first question I had in mind was, baka naman papatong lang kayo sa tinda ko. Meaning, you just become an added cost to my operation, because these guys are coming from a simplified model, di ba?
Yeah.
It's the primary seller direct to the customer, and the only intervention is the delivery people. Now, how do you explain the benefit of SariSuki to the primary sellers?
I think three things. We say number one, it's a earning opportunity. So we show them the potential sales. For example, they have 100 people around them. 100 people buys 5,000 from them. That's already 500,000, and they earn like 8%. So meron ka ng 40,000 pesos na kita. So that's the first thing that we say. The second thing we say is that the products that you're selling are not hard to sell, because it's rice, veg, gulay, eggs, meat, no? And it's good quality. Lastly, we show them the price of the price to their suki or their customers versus that of neighboring areas, which we can get cheaper, because as Brian said, we're building out that supply chain to go as straight to the farm as possible. So those three things really.
So you're not just encouraging sellers to join you in a selling platform. You are building up the system so that you can also be suppliers to your sellers.
Correct. So we try to get all of our products as straight from farm gate or from the producer as possible.
So that's
that we can share the margin.
So that's also social entrepreneurship injected into the platform.
Correct. And an added bonus is we do like upskilling sessions for them. So we have these academies for them. We have these training sessions once a week, even product learning sessions for them. So it's really just not an earning experience, but a learning experience as well for them.
Yeah, Brian, you've played with the big boys, Brian, and most guys would say, pare, if you don't have the volume, if you don't have the finances, and the profit margins are not substantial, you're just wasting your time in dabbling in those games, in those little things. What is your reaction to this view?
Yeah, I think it's a very valid question. Now you don't sound like a judge. Now you sound like my wife asking me a question. No, but that's indeed a very valid question. But if you look at the grocery market,
Wait a minute, Brian. Before you answer that, let me rephrase it. Anong papakain mo sa mga anak natin? At saan ka kukuha ng pangmatrikula? Naglalaro ka dyan sa mga entrepreneurship na yan.
well, yung papakain natin is from SariSuki kasi maraming gulay na sariwa doon. but when we set out to the market for any startup, the first thing that you look at as an entrepreneur that wants to raise funds and get that kind of funding is what the TAM, the TAM, total addressable market is. And the total addressable market for us is the whole grocery sector. It's $100 billion opportunity in the country for us to fix. Only 20-25% of that is modern retail, the big box supermarkets. Maybe another 25% in sari-sari stores. And then 50% is unorganized trade. So wet markets and very, very general trade. So that's the market that we're out tackling. The problem that we're trying to solve is a more distributed system of profits across more individuals and bringing products closer to their community. Because you're not at the midst of the community of the barangay. Whereas if you're a community leader, you sit right there in the middle and you understand the need of the people around.
Brian, allow us to go on a quick break. When we come back, I want to tackle that point quickly because we have a limited time this morning because of capacities. But let's go for a quick break, and I want to talk about that when we return here on Agenda.
Certainly.
Welcome back to the program Agenda, and let's continue with our interview with Brian Koo and Bam Mejia of SariSuki. It's an online platform where community sellers or people in your neighborhood who are the people in your neighborhood. Para tayong Sesame Street, no? You may be a vendor, you can join this platform and they help you expand your market and in time they will also help you in the supply chain and delivery process. But anyway, Brian, you are touching on a very sensitive and right on target topic about creating a system where producers, whether it's a backyard free-range chicken producer, a small backyard piggery, etc., and vegetable gardens nationwide, all need a go-to place to sell their products. And most barangay captains and mayors are too ignorant to set up the barangay marketplace. Now, with Filipinos slowly shifting to the digital economy, can you make the connection there?
Yeah, there's a lot of these e-agriculture firms around the world that started out in trying to help farmers produce better yield. But eventually all of them went into building a marketplace to provide the farmers a platform in which they could sell the products. We're just starting out the opposite way. We started out as a marketplace to prove that social selling can work, which we've done. Mm-hmm. Now what we want to do is integrate further upstream in the value chain to be able to work with farmers and produce more. Because if you don't do that, what you're doing is really just margin shifting. Yes, you take away the middleman here, you take away the sales from a supermarket, distribute it among individuals, and then there's the margin still there, and then we just sort of play around with what's existing. But
Yeah,
being
because
able to
I know this program is too short to discuss all of this. Maybe we have to have a one whole show about it. But just talking to you guys opens up my brains to an extent that we have the producers already, we have the buyers. And you have so many tricycle drivers who don't have work. Kumikita lang sila ng 100 piso araw-araw. Eh di maging delivery service na lang sila, di ba? Because the tricycle can take 2 sacks of rice, 1 hog, several chicken, just like the good old days,
Correct. So what you just described, Sir Cito, is margin redistribution. Because a user, he would used to have bought from, let's say, the nearby wet market or a supermarket, maybe paid a bit more. And now that margin, that profit that the supermarket or wet market makes will now get distributed between the tricycle driver and the community.
Mm-hmm.
But margins not created nor destroyed, right? In the totality. What we want to do is to create value by helping farmers produce more. Across the whole agriculture supply chain, 40% is wasted. Just because, have you ever seen a processing facility in Baguio? You don't. You just have a trading post, exposed elements. The trucks that come down are all open air trucks. So being able to fix that supply chain can potentially help reduce food wastage. And once you help reduce food wastage, then you increase the yield automatically and drop prices and make food more affordable for the masses.
Okay,
that's what we want to do.
Yeah, Bam, I'm sure you've talked about details with Brian regarding this, and of course the 2 chairwomen of the board, Mrs. Mejia and Mrs. Ku, I'm sure have made inputs into this platform. Now, what about volumes? And first, volumes. Are there minimum quantities? Are there restrictions, limitations? Because with the other online platforms, medyo, live po yan, hindi ho pwede yan. Chemical, hindi po ho pwede yan. And then, hindi, kailangan bumili ka 1 kilo or not less. And also, how do we prevent profiteering? Kasi that is the growing annoyance now online. Magtitingin ka, and then when you scan, when you check, may mga walang ya na binili lang yung product from another seller and then dinoble pa yung presyo.
Yeah. So what we try to do is for anyone who comes in, it's frictionless. So we don't ask for a joining fee. We don't ask for capital upfront. We try to make it as frictionless as possible so that anyone who has the intent can come in and register. Of course, we need to approve them. Like as Brian said, if that person is within the area of a top seller already, we cannot approve them. So I think that's the first thing we do. We try to make it frictionless for anyone to apply. Now, secondly, for profiteering, what we try to do, Sir Cito, is we try to keep a close tab on our community. So we try to see if there are any complaints about one community seller. And if one community seller, for example, is going out of line, pricing too high, or you see some not so good practices, we do not hesitate to talk to the person and even to the extent of deactivating that person from the platform. Because we want to keep a community of community sellers in a positive way.
Okay, now what about expanding this network? Because, I mean, I'm a believer. I think if managed well, with the correct investment, with the correct manpower, and with government support, I'm a believer that this is something that wag naman franchise siguro, but you can expand nationwide, collect royalties as part of your intellectual property benefits. But is that feasible? Because I mean, I'm sure in our place in Batangas, in Lipa City, I'm sure it's a sort of thing that many sellers in the barangays would welcome.
Oh, for sure. So we want to expand not just in NCR, but also in the other regions, North, South Luzon. Actually, we're seeing outside Metro Manila, that's where a lot of the stickiness happens because, the further you get away from the metro, the further the trading posts, the sari-sari stores, or the supermarkets are. So definitely beyond Metro Manila, we want to expand. Visayas, yes, we're looking into it, hopefully in the next 6 to 9 months. And then we have a planned expansion, hopefully in the next 12 to 15 months, so that we can bring the platform and the opportunity to everyone in the Philippines.
Okay, kanya nga sabi ko dapat magkaroon na ng Department of Social Media. Okay. Thank you very much.
Sir Cito yung secretary, si Sir Brian.
Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen. Brian and Bam, thank you. SariSuki for joining us this morning. We hope to do another interview on this, and we hope we will be able to expand our discussion on your project. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sir Cito.
Okay, that's Brian Koo and Bam Mejia of SariSuki. Now let's go directly to our next topic. We have with us someone who could happily be in doing PR consultancy, digital marketing, etc. Pero ewan ko, she's still taking on an extra burden of responsibility for fur babies na mga lolo at lola na. Let's get to know more about her.
Maxin Arcebal is the co-founder and CEO of Hound Philippines. She's also a freelance digital marketing and PR consultant. Arcebal previously worked for Ayala Malls and Summit Media.
Okay, Maxin, good morning to you. Good day to you. Sorry, wala na eh. Generic na yung aking time zone, Maxin. So, welcome to the program. Now, I'm kind of surprised because you've got stuff going for you, young lady, and you're still making time to put up this Hound of Heaven, and ano ba ito? Hound Haven pala. Sorry, akala kasi naisip ko yun, the Hound of Heaven. It's a classic literary piece. Now anyway, Hound Haven. What's this all about, Maxine?
Right. So first of all, good day to you too, Sir Cito. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for having me. And so for those of us who don't know yet, Hound Haven is actually a nonprofit organization, and we have a rehabilitation and retirement center for retired canines or retired military working dogs and contract working dogs in Angat, Bulacan. So what we do here is once they're retired from wherever they're deployed to, may it be the Philippine Army, K9 Battalion, the Philippine National Police Aviation Security Group, or several other K9 units and local government agencies. We take them in, they're turned over to the Hound Haven Center, we rehabilitate them, and we try to match them with new homes or new families that are willing to take these dogs in.
Okay, now why did you get into that? Because as I already mentioned, you are a digital PR consultant. You are marketing associate manager at the Ayala Malls. I mean, hindi ka pa ba pagod?
Hindi pa po. Actually, with Hound Haven, it's really what energizes me because I grew up in a family of dog lovers. So I've always been passionate about animal welfare. No, it's really something that I enjoy. It's not work for me. It's my life's work. Kumbaga, it's just my lifestyle. So how did we get into this?
Yeah.
Back in 2015, my cousin and I, who also happens to be Hound Haven's COO, we were talking about our frustrations and heartaches in the corporate world, in corporate marketing, and we were kind of manifesting our dream in a way. We were saying by 2020, we would open a retirement and rehabilitation center or just a shelter for abandoned, abused, and neglected dogs. Mm-hmm. So we were really manifesting. And then after this discussion, we immediately got to work. We did our research. We talked to more animal welfare advocates. And from there, we found out that there are actually no laws or policies here in the Philippines or any institution here in the country that really caters specifically to the welfare of working dogs. So there was a real institutional gap here in the Philippines. And so we did more research and we found out that actually in the US, there's a similar organization that takes in retired canines from their army. And so we thought, why don't we do something like this here in the Philippines? Number one, no one else is doing it yet. Number two, it's a relatively new idea. So when we started pitching to potential sponsors and donors, it was a brand new idea here in the country. A lot of people really wanted to help. And so everything just kind of fell into place. We were officially SEC registered in November of 2015. We got into initial talks with the Philippine Army K9 Battalion in late 2015, and then we got a very positive response from their commanding officer. And then a family friend offered a parcel of land in Angat, Bulacan for a rent that was reasonable to nonprofits. And so I guess we could say we were lucky, so to speak, because we had really the right kind of support system in place. And so because of all these support that we were getting from our initial plan to open the center in 2020, we were actually 4 years early. We opened officially our center's doors in April of 2016. Since then, we have been growing. We have rehabilitated over 30 canines from different agencies of the government. We've rehomed over 20 canines, and we recently just took in 4 new retired canines from the Philippine National Police Aviation Security Group. So it's been both a pleasure and a challenge to be working on Hound Haven, but we're glad to be making even a small dent in the animal welfare space here in the country.
Okay, Maxine, when you say retired, how old are these canines or these dogs when they get to you?
Well, a lot of them are 8 years old and up. So an average dog lives for about, I guess we could say 15 years. So we could really say that these dogs work for more than half of their lives. They are the epitome of the phrase "a lifetime of service" because they work until they're very old. And they can no longer serve until their eyesight dulls, their senses of smell are not as strong enough, and that's the only time they are turned over to the Hound Haven Center. But we have also had some retired canines who are a bit on the younger side, around 2 or 3 years old. But usually this is forced retirement. So we had a canine, his name is Lotto, and he was injured in the line of duty. They had to amputate his right foreleg. And so that's why he was retired at an early age. So we can get the really young canines who are forced to retire because of behavioral or health issues. And then we get the really senior canines as well.
So forced retirees are lost causes, would you say? Because I don't know how favorable potential fur parents are to a 3-legged dog, or to someone who has a psychotic disposition. So what happens to them at the retirement place?
I wouldn't say they are lost causes. We have had dogs who were deployed in the Marawi siege. And so they developed PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder. And that's not surprising because these dogs have to go through things that a normal pet wouldn't have to, right? So
they're there in the line of fire. And I can appreciate what you're talking about, Maxine, because my dogs are Great Danes and Belgian Malinois crosses. They're huge dogs, but the minute they hear fireworks in the neighborhood, they run under the table, run under the bed, or jump on your lap.
Exactly. So these dogs may exhibit those kinds of behaviors as well because they can be scared of loud noises or even very fearful of strangers. But once they get to the center and once they experience, life of retirement, as we call it, and then we get to the rehabilitation work, we sometimes surprise even ourselves because these dogs can do a complete 360 from a very shy, anxious dog. A few months in at the center, they can be very energetic. playful dogs. So it really depends on the environment they're in and what kind of love and affection they're getting.
You said you've adopted out 20 out of 30 dogs. I mean that's a high batting average. But why do people go for your particular set of dogs? Because I know some people, tara, let's get a canine retiree so we can check our guests and our children if they're on drugs, etc.
Yes, yes po. We usually shy away from applicants who are in it only for the novelty of the situation. Yung mag-a-adopt ako ng canine kasi it's cool. I can tell my friends, oh, my dog is a retired soldier. Diba? That's the novelty of the situation. But that's not what we're going for. We're really looking for a family who wants to adopt a canine, a retired canine, because number one, they appreciate very much the incredible work that these animals are doing in the front lines, all in the name of national security.
Where do you find the time to run this? I mean, I'm already up to my neck with 2 dogs here in Pasig, okay? Feeding this, I love them, okay? But, feeding, cleaning, serving them, I mean, it can be annoying. Sometimes I talk to my Belgian and say, do you mind going to the toilet properly and not all over the cage? But where do you find the time to do this, Maxin?
Well, we're a small team. We're a team of 5. Actually, a team of 7 if we count the full-time caretakers that are in the center 24/7. So I think our caretakers, I guess this is really a shout out for them. They're the backbone of our day-to-day operations because they're there with the dogs 24/7. They have memorized the names and quirks of each dog, even saying, si Shadow, ganyan yan hindi siya pwedeng itabi kay this dog kasi nag-aaway sila. So they really have memorized all these things. And we're really thankful to them because when we're not in the center, they're there holding the fort for us. We're there every weekend. But they are there 7 days of the week. And as to where we find the time, I'm actually not sure, but I guess it's because we're really passionate about the cause. We love dogs. We really believe in the advocacy. So I don't know. It just comes.
But what about the expense, Maxine? Because one sack of dog food goes over 1,000 pesos. Quality dog food, okay? And then you have vaccinations every quarter. You have shampoos, etc. How do you fund this thing?
Yeah, we are actually 100% donor-based. So we rely on the generosity of our sponsors and donors to keep our center up and running. But we are a team of marketers, actually. We're all in marketing. So we have all of these fundraising campaigns spread out through the year. Of course, I wouldn't say that it's a walk in the park. I think when we ask any nonprofit organization, funding is always a concern. But so far, we have been managing. We've been lucky because a lot of people really believe in the advocacy. They see merit in donating and helping us help these heroes, these soldier dogs. So so far we've been doing well, sometimes even thriving, and we've been really grateful for that.
Okay, but how do you rehabilitate dogs like that? Because I don't know, I'm already tired trying to teach people how to discipline their dogs. I mean, not in a harsh way, but they wonder, your dog will sit and look at the food, but wait until you say eat. What? You shout the name of the dog and it stops barking? But, retired canine, medyo mahirap yata yan. Baka meron pang mga attack dogs dyan.
Yes, we actually have attack dogs, but when they're not at work or they're not working, they can be the sweetest pets actually. So ang ginagawa po namin, medyo pabaliktad kami. We don't really do, of course we still do basic obedience, but the goal of our rehabilitation is to get them used to being pets. So hindi na sila working dogs. It's really getting used to a life as a part of a family or life as a pet. So it can be as simple as taking them out on walks, They shouldn't be pulling on the leash because they should be well behaved on walks, getting them used to a routine at home. You eat at this time and then you go out for a walk and then you have playtime at this time. And then every time we have visitors and volunteers coming in at the center, it's actually part of the rehabilitation process because we're helping these dogs get used to strangers, even kids, because these dogs are sometimes not used to having kids around. But when we have families visiting and bringing their kids with them, sometimes even lap dogs with them, we're helping these dogs get used to a life with a potential family.
So you're telling me that families are welcome to visit the
Exactly.
Hound Haven and the children will be safe? Because I mean, as a parent, I figure, naku, wag na tayong pumunta dyan. Baka biglang maghingi ng puppy or ng dog. I want that dog. Patay-patay tayo dyan.
Yes, actually, very welcome po ang families to visit the center. Kids are welcome, most definitely. Our handlers are there to assist. And we know kung sino yung mga dogs na pwedeng mag-interact with visitors. So we don't really, if a dog is still being rehabilitated and we feel like the dog is not ready yet to be introduced to volunteers, we don't do that just yet. We let our volunteers and visitors interact with the dogs who have been fully rehabilitated, the dogs who are ready to be adopted out to families. So yes, it's safe. Visitors are assisted the entire time by our caretakers, and we don't let them interact with dogs who haven't been fully rehabilitated yet.
Is it easy to just walk in and say, "Oh, I like to adopt a dog, etc." What are the requirements of Maxin or of Hound Haven PH regarding, the adoption of these retired dogs?
Yun lang po, Sir Cito. It's definitely not easy to just go to the center and say, I want to adopt this dog. Can I take him home? We are very strict when it comes to the adoption application process po. And we do this because we want to be sure that the dogs go to responsible and loving homes. Yun nga po, there are a lot of people who want to adopt because of the novelty and how cool they think the situation is. But what we're really trying to gauge when someone applies to be an adoptive family is commitment. You can be living in a small house with a big dog, but then you're committed. So you take this dog out for 15-minute walks every day. So it's not how much you earn, how big your land is. It's really commitment, which is very hard to measure. But when you're an animal lover, when you're a pet parent, talking to another pet parent, it's a gut feel. You'd know. And so we have quite a long application process, which involves several interviews, several visits to the center, and a possible home visit. Right now that we're in the middle of a pandemic, we've been doing all virtual interviews and virtual home visits. So it's really a long and tedious process, but that's also one way for us to gauge commitment.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Maxine, and thank you for introducing us to the Hound Haven facility. We wish you well, and if there's any way we can help you, if you've got announcements to make, please do let us know.
All right. So if anyone is interested to know more about the advocacy or help Hound Haven out, you can check out our website. It's houndhavenph.org. You can also give us a follow on Facebook at Hound Haven Philippines and on Instagram at Hound Haven PH. If you have any inquiries, let's say adoption, or if you have any partnership proposals, you can shoot us an email at houndhavenph@gmail.com.
Okay, that's Maxin Arcebal, co-founder and CEO of Hound Haven PH. Thank you very much, Maxine.
Thank you, Sir Cito. Thank you.
Okay, and let's go to our closing blessing for the program from the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 8. May the Lord will send a blessing on your barns and on everything you put your hand to. The Lord your God will bless you in the land he is giving you. Name it, claim it, believe it, and most important of all, thank God for it in advance. The blessings coming your way. And thank you for watching Agenda. Please keep it here on One News PH. News.